Today, the lesson for today is found in chapter 1, verse 3 of the Gospel according to Peter. I recently got, which one of these pens? This one, I think. And I had this one. And as you can see, they're identical models, identical color, except one has gold trim and one has silver trim. And when I saw these two next to each other on the desk, my mind went back to when I was a kid. And my poor suffering mother would sit there at the dime store. We had dime stores back then. Ben Franklin dime store. 5 and 10 cent store. And she would be watching little tiny Pierre sitting there in front of this huge, here I am, I'm drawing a stick figure. Here's my mother looming over me with her sharp shopping cart full of unimportant things like milk and food. And I'm sitting in front of the toy area and shelves and shelves and shelves of model airplanes and model boats. And I'd be looking at one box and putting it down and picking up another box, and I could get one. You know, was it going to be the Spitfire or the Messerschmitt? Or was it going to be the Arizona or the Iowa battleships? And my mother would be patiently looking on as I decided which model to get. And with almost every toy I ever had and every book I ever owned to this day, it's not really what the thing is, it's what it looks like. And I would be looking at this one, and this one showed, you know, the Arizona being blown up at Pearl Harbor with all sorts of action, and this one showed the I don't know what's the other boat? The Pennsylvania. They were identical boats. They had, you know, except the Pennsylvania didn't get blown up. So I might have been attracted to the graphics on the cover. But I remember my mother at one point, a very specific instance where I was trying to decide which airplane to get, model airplane. Was it going to be the British Spitfire, I guess, or the German Messerschmitt? And my mother, like me, was responding to the design of the logo of the British Air Force, which was the red and blue dot target kind of shape, rather than the Hakenkreuz of the Deutsche Luftwaffe. So I can't remember if I took her advice and got the Spitfire or whether I got the Messerschmitt. But anyway, when I saw these two pens next to each other, I was immediately brought back to that moment in my life when I was struggling to decide which one I want. And I was thinking back to the original time when these pens were made, and they were sitting right next to each other in the pen case at the stationery store or jewelry store or department store, wherever these pens were sold originally in the 30s, 40s, and wondering the trauma that someone went through to decide which one they wanted, just based on the color of the clip. And, you know, they weren't filling out a pen collection. They were just buying a pen. Just like I buy a pair of shoes right now. I don't buy a pair of shoes to fit my shoe collection. I buy a pair of shoes because I need a pair of shoes. And do I want brown or black? Or do I want a tennis shoe? I don't think about anything other than something very simple. And here, what would you buy? Would you buy the the gold or the chrome. And you could look at this and you could say, well, I really like the way the chrome fits nicely with the cold, cool marbling. But wait, when you see the gold next to the cool marbling, it sort of makes the cool marbling warmer. Isn't that an interesting sensation you get? You know, they're the same, except they look different because of the different clip. There might be some subtle difference, but generally no. In fact, if I just was looking at the plastics, I might think that this one is warmer and that one's colder. But anyway, it's more the seeing the gold trim against it. Now, I suspect someone back in 1940 looking at these pens probably had jewelry that was gold, watches that were gold in color, and they would pick the gold pen because they like gold, and vice versa with the silver. But again, it's just, I like how when I look at a collection of pens, now this is a collection of 2, so that's hardly a collection, but it is. And you delight in the fact that there are 2 choices. And of course, you know, at the store when these were sold, they also had all the other colors that these things came in, the red and the green and the all gray without the red stripes. And you know, there was way more choices than, just like over here, I could have bought a biplane from World War One, or the, you know, submarine Nautilus or something, you know, but instead I narrowed it down to those 2. So it's just interesting to me to, in my collection, to have an opportunity where my mind goes back to a time of my youth, but also a time when, imagining a time when a regular person in 1940 would be in a shop and deciding what pen to buy. They weren't collecting, they were just regular people. And I'd love to go back and have a little poll of people as they left the pen shop. Why did you buy that Waterman Ripple when that Parker Duofold was sitting next to it? And hear what they had to say. You know, it's just fascinating to me to imagine, because I have a brain that is easily distracted by stuff. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you, and I don't know, take it or leave it. Thank you. Toodaloo.